The question is that the motion be agreed to, and I call the honourable member for Bowman.
Look, Deputy Speaker, there are those moments in politics when you ask, what are we doing here? There are those moments that you'd hope that in your political offices, before you bring forward a motion, your staff would gather around you and say, don't go there. Don't go and start a debate with the coalition government about a program that you'd have funded yourself. But in fact, no one gathered around that member for Kingston. No one gave her that quiet word in the ear that would have made an enormous difference. And you remember that sort of eternal silence when that motion finally makes it up to the notice board in the Whip's office and nobody wants to speak to it. That's right, it sits there empty for weeks as everyone says, don't go there. But unfortunately, the member for Kingston was not protected by her own staff or her constituents or those who knew better, and this motion came to Parliament today. That's right, it's a Labor Party attacking the now coalition government about why we won't rescue, revive and resuscitate a program that they defunded, a program they cared so little about that in 2012 they only flicked in an extra year of funding, like walking past a beggar and flicking a coin in the bowl. And then come 2013, how committed were they to put it in the forward estimates? Another 1 year of funding, with the money running out December this year. That's the measure of how keen this opposition is in youth connections and partnership funding. And it's a big fat zero. I mean, if you really genuinely cared as a government, there would be, as we've said consistently on this side of the chamber, evidence out into the forwards as governments think in 4-year lots, 4 years ahead, 4 years of security, certainty and tenure for the people delivering these vital services. 450 of them all around this great nation, 83 programs. But no, that's not how Labor operates. No, what Labor operates how Labor operates is that they give a year of extended funding. And of course, you secure your job for a year, right? I mean, what sort of security and certainty is that? I mean, how can you plan for a family when your funding just trickles in once a year and every middle of the year you're wondering, could this be it? Will the guillotine fall? No certainty at all from that Labor government to this program. No passion, no support whatsoever, and only to have them to dig it up now. It reminds myself a little bit of my time at a hospital, working in critical care. These government programs are a patient that we have to continue to keep supported, alive and thriving. We want to make sure that they go on to deliver great things. But this was a government that, as one emergency team handed over to the other, they just pulled the plug out of the wall, didn't they? They switched off the life support system on youth connections, didn't they? And then they snuck out of the building hoping no one would notice, and then brought this motion in today to criticise the coalition government for not fixing the problem that they created. That's right, there they were on youth connections, meant to be looking after the patient, and there they are pulling out the IV drip, switching off the fluid, stopping the blood, booby-trapping the bed and even booking the undertaker. That's what that Labor opposition did, and now they have the hide to come in here. Now, of course, no one wanted to speak to this motion on the Labor side. No one wanted to back that member for Kingston, so we get the nicest people in politics, the member for Reid, the member for Scullion, good, kind, good-intentioned people coming in and speaking on a motion for which they could find no one at all to back that member for Kingston. You are good people for coming down, but you have no defence to the basic prima facie case that this program was killed off in 2012 when a Labor government was scurrying around trying to fool voters that they could get back to surplus. And the best way to get back to surplus is to hide stuff off the forward estimates. Look, Deputy Speaker, I could elaborate on the great stuff that we are doing in training for employment partnerships, the money that's being invested in trade support loans, and in basically promoting employers and schools to work together to create the opportunities that we need in the middle. And I've often wondered why we need enormous amounts of investment in there. I mean, Seek.com has shown us that providing opportunities, rational individuals can go out and find the opportunities they need most. Now, there is a small number of individuals for whom that is not possible. And they come from tough family circumstances, with very little guidance and leadership from caregivers. And they live in tough parts of this country, parents often struggling with mental illness, in and out of incarceration. And for those people, what we need is to have a properly directed welfare. We need to make sure that that is spent purely on health, on education, on housing, on essential needs, and there should be reciprocal and mutual obligation that you turn up to programs like this if you want to receive your welfare. But of course, no movement was made in that direction by this Labor government. It's a Labor opposition now that in government simply measured itself on how many inputs they could give, how much money they could give away. Forget the outcome. I mean, it was just about creating more public servants. They never saw a public servant job they couldn't duplicate. They never saw a public service job they couldn't give to a whole team of them. I mean, this was a government that lost its way, and this member for Kingston is exactly why we got rid of the Labor government in 2013, and they would stay away as long as possible.
Order. I thank the honourable member for Bowman.